Admiral Sarah Chen stood at the panoramic window of the Thunder's Roar's bridge, fighting to maintain her composure as she read the latest diplomatic message from the Galactic Council. Her first officer, Commander James Rodriguez, watched her shoulders shake with barely contained laughter. "They think the maintenance drones are what?" she finally managed to ask, turning to face her crew with tears of mirth in her eyes. "Advanced hunter-killer platforms," Rodriguez replied, his own expression perfectly straight save for a slight twitch at the corner of his mouth. Apparently, the way they move in formation while cleaning the hull suggests highly sophisticated combat programming. The bridge crew maintained their professional demeanor, though several had to suddenly become very interested in their control panels to hide their grins. The Thunder's Roar, Earth's flagship and pride of the back-off fleet, was currently holding position at the edge of Galactic Council space. Its massive hull gleamed in the light of a distant sun, the fierce dragon motifs painted along its sides casting dramatic shadows across its surface. "And the crystal arrays?" Sarah asked, settling back into her command chair. Lieutenant Emma Park, their chief engineer, pulled up a holographic display of their ship's exterior. "The Council's scientific division is particularly interested in those. They're convinced the precise geometric arrangement must be for focusing some kind of energy weapon." She zoomed in on the neat rows of solar collectors that powered their elaborate light shows. "They've requested detailed scans, which of course we had to decline for security reasons." Sarah nodded sagely, remembering how that particular addition had come about. Their power systems had needed an upgrade, and Emma had suggested the crystalline collectors both for their efficiency and, in her words, because they look really cool. The aesthetic choice had proved more strategic than anyone could have anticipated. A soft chime interrupted their amusement. "Admiral," called out their communications officer, "we're receiving another request for clarification about our defensive capabilities." "Standard response protocol, Lieutenant," Sarah instructed, straightening in her chair. "Maintain our policy of strategic ambiguity." The strategic ambiguity policy had been born of necessity when Earth first ventured into interstellar space. With limited resources and a need to protect their early colonies, Earth's Defense Council had made a bold decision. Instead of trying to compete with advanced alien armaments, they would focus on perception and deterrence. The result was the back-off fleet, civilian ships converted into impressive-looking vessels through creative engineering and theatrical design. The Thunder's Roar itself had started life as a cargo hauler before its transformation into something that looked like it had emerged from humanity's most dramatic space opera fantasies. "Sensor contact," announced their tactical officer suddenly. 3 vessels approaching from the Centauri border. Energy signatures matched Drachnid configurations. Sarah straightened, earlier amusement forgotten. The Drachnids were known for testing boundaries of new spacefaring species. This would be their first real challenge. "Battle stations," she ordered, then added with a slight smile, "Begin Operation Thunderstorm." The bridge dimmed as their external light arrays powered up. The crystal arrays began their carefully choreographed rotation, catching and reflecting starlight in mesmerizing patterns. Deep beneath the ship's hull, their most powerful speakers prepared to project the carefully crafted mix of subsonic frequencies that had proven so effective at creating uncertainty in alien sensor systems. "They're scanning us," Tactical reported, reading increased power to their forward arrays. "Hold position," Sarah commanded. "Let them get a good look at us." "Emma, initiate the reactor pulse sequence." The ship's completely normal and safe fusion reactor began its programmed power fluctuation, creating sensor readings that no alien scientist had yet managed to properly interpret. The maintenance drones continued their regular cleaning routine, their synchronized movements now looking decidedly more ominous in the dramatic lighting. "They're changing course," Tactical announced after a tense moment. "All 3 vessels are withdrawing to safe distance. They're sending a general broadcast. Standard translators are processing it now." The message that came through was brief but deeply satisfying. "Attention unknown vessels. We acknowledge your territorial claim. Departing immediately. Please do not activate your everything. Sarah allowed herself a small smile. Send our acknowledgement. Keep it simple. As the Drachnid ships retreated, she gazed out at the stars, wondering how long they could. But for now, at least, humanity's creative approach to space defense was working better than anyone could have hoped. 3 months after the Drachnid encounter, Admiral Chen found herself staring at yet another surprising intelligence report. This time, it wasn't just one species giving their ships a wide berth, it was everyone. "They're calling us what now?" she asked, looking up from her tablet at Commander Rodriguez. "The shadows of thunder," he replied, attempting to keep his voice serious, but failing to hide his amusement. "Apparently, our reputation has evolved. The crystal arrays are now being referred to as stellar fragments of doom in some sectors." Lieutenant Park burst into the bridge, her engineer's uniform slightly disheveled from crawling through maintenance tubes. "Admiral, you need to see this." She rushed to the main display, her fingers dancing across the controls. "Remember that solar collection efficiency upgrade I installed last week?" The screen filled with external camera feeds showing their crystal arrays bathed in the light of the nearby binary stars. The new optimization algorithm Emma had developed caused the crystals to shift and rotate in perfect synchronization, creating a hypnotic dance of light and shadow across the ship's hull. "It's beautiful," Sarah admitted, "but why the urgency?" Because of this, Emma switched to a recording from 12 hours earlier. A massive pirate fleet, at least 15 vessels strong, had approached the colony they were protecting. The timestamp showed the moment their ships detected Thunder's roar performing its routine patrol with the new crystal configuration. The entire pirate fleet had scattered like startled fish. "They're saying our weapon system can harvest stellar energy for direct attacks," Emma explained, barely containing her excitement. "The algorithm I wrote to maximize solar collection apparently looks exactly like weapon targeting sequences from some ancient war they all learned about in their histories." Sarah leaned back in her chair, processing this information. "So we accidentally created a perfect replica of a legendary superweapon. More like we accidentally created something that looks like it might be even scarier than a legendary superweapon," Rodriguez corrected. "Because nobody knows exactly what it does, their imaginations are doing all the work for us." Chief Medical Officer Dr. Maya Patel chose that moment to enter the bridge, carrying her daily health reports. She took one look at their expressions and raised an eyebrow. "What did we accidentally do this time?" "Convince the galaxy we can eat stars," Emma replied cheerfully. Maya blinked slowly. "You know, when I signed up for space medicine, I expected to be treating exotic alien diseases, not helping maintain humanity's reputation as space wizards." "Speaking of maintenance," Emma continued, "I had an idea for the next upgrade. If we adjust the crystalline resonance frequency during rotation, we can increase power efficiency by another 12%. It might also make them hum in a really interesting way." "The kind of interesting that will make more pirates run away?" Sarah asked, already knowing the answer. "The kind of interesting that will make them think we're talking to dark matter entities," Emma confirmed with a grin. Sarah considered this for a moment. Their mission was to protect Earth's colonies and maintain peace. If they could do that with clever engineering and a dash of showmanship instead of actual weapons, wasn't that better for everyone? "Do it," she decided, "but keep detailed records of everything. Someday we might need to explain all this to the Galactic Council, and I want to be able to prove we never actually lied about our capabilities." "Technically true is the best kind of true," Rodriguez quipped. A junior officer rushed onto the bridge, tablet in hand. "Admiral, we're receiving a priority message from Earth Command. The Galactic Council has requested our assistance with the situation in the Orion sector. Something about our unique capabilities being ideal for the mission." Sarah exchanged looks with her senior staff. They'd started this journey hoping just to keep Earth's colonies safe. Now they were being called upon to help maintain peace in the wider galaxy, all because of some creative engineering and fortunate misunderstandings. "Well," she said, standing up, "let's not keep them waiting. Emma, get those crystal arrays humming. Maya, prepare a report about potential special operator health considerations. Keep it vague but impressive. Rodriguez, inform the crew we're about to uphold our reputation as the most mysteriously terrifying peacekeepers in known space." As Thunder's roar changed course for the Orion sector, Sarah wondered what new legends they would accidentally create this time. X-Thrix, senior investigator of the Galactic Council, stood in Thunder's roar's docking bay looking distinctly unsettled. Their crystalline form shifted colors rapidly, a sign of intense concentration among their species. Admiral Chen had expected the inspection, but the timing was delicate, especially with their latest upgrades still being installed. "Welcome aboard Thunder's Roar," Sarah greeted warmly. "We're honored to host such a distinguished representative of the Council." The crystalline being's translation matrix hummed. "Your hospitality is noted, Admiral. I must admit, approaching your vessel was interesting. Our sensors detected 15 different energy signatures they couldn't identify." Behind Sarah, Emma coughed softly to hide her surprise. They only had 5 systems running. Apparently, some of them were registering multiple times in unexpected ways. "Shall we begin the tour?" Sarah offered, gesturing toward the interior doors. As they walked, she noticed X-Thrix's surface rippling whenever they passed one of Emma's crystal arrays. Interesting. Their first stop was the hydroponics bay, where Dr. Patel was waiting. The vast chamber hummed with life, plants from Earth growing in sophisticated vertical arrangements. The lighting system Emma had installed cast everything in a gentle blue glow that, completely by accident, made the ordinary tomato plants look exotic and slightly dangerous. "Our specialized biological enhancement facility," Sarah explained, using the technically not incorrect term they'd developed for such occasions. "Dr. Patel oversees all operations here." These specimens, X-Thrix moved closer to a row of perfectly ordinary bell peppers, their crystalline form vibrating slightly. They resonate at frequencies I've never encountered before. Maya kept her face professionally neutral. "Yes, they're quite special," she managed, not mentioning that the unusual resonance was probably just the plant's natural growth responding to Emma's new ultrasonic pest control system. The tour continued to engineering, where Emma's latest project was in full swing. The chamber looked like something from a science fiction movie, with holographic displays showing complex calculations, mostly routine maintenance schedules displayed in the most dramatic way possible, and technicians moving with practiced precision through their daily tasks. "Our primary systems control center," Sarah explained as X-Thrix's colors shifted rapidly through shades of azure and gold, apparently indicating intense scientific curiosity. "Lieutenant Park has made some unique modifications to standard systems." Emma beamed with pride as she demonstrated their new power distribution network, which looked impressively complex, but was actually just a very efficient way to route energy to their various light shows and sound systems. The fact that it resembled ancient mystical symbols when viewed from certain angles was, she would insist later, totally coincidental. The inspection nearly hit a snag when they reached the crew's recreation area. The karaoke machine was running full blast as they entered, with ensigns belting out Sweet Caroline, with more enthusiasm than skill. Before Sarah could redirect their guest, X-Thrix moved closer, their crystalline form resonating with the music. "Remarkable," the investigator breathed. "A sonic harmonization chamber for crew enhancement. The frequencies, they alter neural patterns in ways our scientists theorized but never achieved." Rodriguez, who had joined them for this part of the tour, nodded sagely. "Yes, we find it. Enhances crew performance." He wasn't technically lying. Karaoke night did wonders for morale. The tour concluded in the observation lounge, where the binary star's light played through the crystal arrays, creating an unintentionally stunning display of refracted energy patterns across the walls. "Admiral." X-Thrix turned to Sarah, their form now a deep shade of purple that the translation matrix suggested indicated deep respect. "I must admit, When the Council sent me to investigate Earth's capabilities, I expected to find exaggerated reports. Instead, I find myself unable to fully comprehend much of what I've seen." Sarah maintained her diplomatic smile, thinking quickly. "The universe holds many mysteries, investigator. We find it's often best to maintain a certain flexibility in our understanding." As she escorted X-Thrix back to their shuttle, the investigator made one final observation that nearly broke Sarah's composure. "Most impressive is how you've managed to harness chaos itself into a defense system. The Council will be very interested in my report about Earth's mastery of controlled entropy." Sarah waited until the shuttle had departed before turning to her crew. "Controlled entropy?" she asked. Emma shrugged. "I think they mean the fact that nothing we do quite makes sense to them, but it all seems to work anyway." "Well," Rodriguez grinned, "that's humanity in a nutshell, isn't it?" "That's not supposed to be there," Emma said, staring at the sensor readings with growing concern. Admiral Chen moved to her station, studying the swirling mass of plasma approaching their position. What had started as a routine patrol near the Arcturus trading routes had turned into something far more dangerous. A massive solar storm, nearly invisible until it was almost upon them, threatened not just Thunder's roar, but also the 3 alien merchant vessels they were escorting. "Options?" Sarah asked, keeping her voice steady despite the growing tension on the bridge. "Our shields can handle maybe 60% of that energy," Emma replied, fingers dancing across her console. "The merchant ships, maybe 30% at best. Their designs aren't optimized for solar phenomena." Rodriguez studied the tactical display. "We can't outrun it. Not with the merchants in tow." Sarah watched the approaching storm front. An idea forming. "Emma, those crystal arrays you're so proud of, they're essentially giant solar collectors, right?" The engineer's eyes widened as she caught on. "Yes, but we've never tested them under this kind of load. The power intake would be astronomical. Better than being fried." Sarah decided. "What if we positioned ourselves between the storm and the merchant ships? Could we absorb enough energy to create a shadow zone behind us?" "Maybe." Emma was already running calculations, "but we'd need to rotate the arrays in a specific pattern to handle that much power. And the excess energy has to go somewhere. Route it to the external light systems," Rodriguez suggested. "All of them. Turn this whole ship into one giant energy dispersion network." Sarah nodded. "Do it. Maya, get medical ready for potential radiation exposure. Everyone else, this is going to look impressive. Let's make it count." The crew sprang into action. Thunder's roar's engines thrummed as they maneuvered into position, their massive hull casting a shadow over the smaller merchant vessels. Emma's crystal arrays began their dance, rotating into new configurations that looked both beautiful and terrifying. "Storm front in 30 seconds, Tactical announced. "Broadcasting to all ships," the communications officer added, telling them to maintain position directly behind us, and adding some suitably mysterious warnings about energy field synchronization to keep them from doing anything unpredictable. Sarah allowed herself a small smile despite the situation. Even in a crisis, they had to maintain their reputation. The storm hit with the fury of a newborn star. Thunder's roar shuddered as the first wave of plasma washed over them. Emma's crystal arrays blazed with captured energy, transforming the ship into a spectacular light show visible from half a system away. "Power intake at 300% of normal maximum," Emma called out, her voice mixing excitement with concern. "The arrays are holding, but we're running out of places to put this energy." "Reroute everything to the external systems," Sarah ordered. "Give them a light show they'll never forget." The ship's entire hull erupted in cascading patterns of light as the excess energy was channeled through their display systems. To the watching merchant ships, it must have looked like Thunder's roar was engaging in some kind of battle with the solar storm itself. "Merchant ships are broadcasting," communications reported with a hint of amusement. They're thanking us for deploying our stellar energy defense matrix and requesting permission to record the demonstration for their archives. Permission granted, Sarah replied, watching as Emma's makeshift energy dispersion system continued to protect their charges. Let them record. The more mysterious we look, the better. When the storm finally passed, Thunder's roar emerged unscathed, her hull still glowing faintly from the dispersing energy. The merchant ships behind them were safe, their crews awestruck by what they'd witnessed. Engineering report, Sarah called out. Arrays functioning at 110% efficiency. Emma replied, sounding pleasantly surprised. The storm actually cleaned them. And I think I just accidentally invented a new power storage system. Add it to the list of things we're not explaining to anyone, Rodriguez suggested, along with how we apparently now eat solar storms for breakfast. Sarah settled back in her command chair, reviewing the sensor logs. Their reputation for mysterious technological superiority had just gained another chapter, all because her crew was better at creative problem-solving than actual space combat. Well done, everyone, she announced. Though I suspect our next meeting with the Galactic Council just got more interesting. More interesting than usual, Maya asked dryly. They're already calling it the Storm Feast of Thunder's Roar on alien channels, communications reported. Sarah sighed. At this rate, they'd need to start keeping a log of their accidental legends just to keep track of them all. Admiral Chen sat in her ready room, surrounded by holographic displays showing scientific journals from across the galaxy. Each one featured theories about Earth's supposed technological advances, and each one was more creative than the last. They think we have quantum-locked temporal shields now, she told Emma and Rodriguez as they joined her for their morning briefing. Apparently, that's the only way to explain how we survived the solar storm. Emma picked up a tablet, scanning the technical specifications. These designs they're proposing, some of them might actually work. Different from what we did, but the theoretical framework is sound. That's not all, Rodriguez added, pulling up another report. 3 different species have started research programs into stellar energy manipulation after watching our performance. They're making genuine breakthroughs in solar power technology. Sarah leaned back, processing this information. Their accidental inspiration of an innovation race across the galaxy wasn't part of the original plan, but it was becoming increasingly significant. A gentle chime interrupted their discussion. Admiral, Maya's voice came through the comm system. You might want to come to the observation deck. We have an interesting situation. The interesting situation turned out to be a sleek vessel of unknown design, holding position just within visual range. Its hull sparkled with an array of crystals that looked suspiciously familiar. They're copying our crystal arrays, Emma observed, a mix of pride and concern in her voice. But they've arranged them in a logarithmic spiral pattern we never thought of. It's actually quite brilliant. They're requesting communication, the bridge officer reported. Audio only. Put them through, Sarah ordered, straightening her uniform. The voice that came through was melodic, speaking perfect galactic standard. Thunder's roar. This is the research vessel Light Seeker. We represent the Multi-Species Innovation Coalition. Your demonstrations of advanced technology have inspired a renaissance in theoretical physics across known space. We wish to compare notes. Sarah exchanged glances with her senior staff. This was new territory, even for them. Send a standard diplomatic response, she decided. Maintain appropriate security protocols. Over the next few hours, they engaged in a careful dance of scientific discussion, with Emma taking the lead. She managed to discuss their systems in ways that were completely truthful while allowing their counterparts to maintain their own interpretations. Their theories about how our systems work are more advanced than our actual systems, Emma whispered to Sarah during a brief break. They're developing technology that we might have actually built if we'd had their resources and knowledge base when we started. Are you saying the galaxy's scientists are reverse engineering technology we don't even have? Rodriguez asked. More like they're using their assumptions about our capabilities as inspiration to develop entirely new technologies, Emma clarified, some of which might actually be more impressive than what they think we have. Sarah watched through the observation window as more research vessels arrived, each sporting different interpretations of what they believed to be Earth's advanced technology. The Light Seeker's crystal spiral design was elegant, while another ship featured what appeared to be a contained plasma field generator, something their scientists had theorized but never successfully built. We should document all of this, she decided. Every innovation they develop based on their observations of us. Someday when the truth comes out, we can show that our greatest contribution to galactic science wasn't our non-existent super technology. It was inspiring others to push the boundaries of what they thought was possible. Emma finished, her eyes bright with scientific curiosity, as she studied the growing fleet of research vessels. Admiral, Tactical interrupted. We're detecting unusual energy signatures from the Light Seeker. They appear to be, well, we're not sure what they're doing, but it's creating ripples in space-time. Wonderful, Sarah sighed. Now we need to figure out how to pretend we understand technology that doesn't exist yet, while encouraging them to develop it safely. Just another day at the office, Rodriguez quipped, inspiring galactic innovation through creative misunderstandings. As they watched another research vessel arrive, this one trailing what looked like streams of crystallized light, Sarah made a mental note to have Emma add something similar to their next upgrade. After all, they had a reputation to maintain. X-Thrick stood in Thunder's Roar's engineering bay at an uncomfortably early hour, their crystalline form shifting through shades of deep indigo, a sign of intense realization. Emma had arrived to find the investigator examining one of their crystal arrays, currently disassembled for routine maintenance. "This is not a weapon," X-Thrick stated simply. Emma froze, her coffee mug halfway to her lips. She reached for her communicator, but X-Thrick raised an appendage in a universal gesture of peace. "Please, gather your senior staff. What I have discovered requires discussion." 20 minutes later, Admiral Chen and her command crew sat around the conference table, facing the Galactic Council's most respected investigator. The silence was heavy with unspoken concerns. "You have been protecting peace through perception rather than force," X-Thrick began, their colors now cycling through gentle blues. "These systems, your crystal arrays, your light displays, your sonic projectors, they are theatrical tools, not weapons of war." Sarah straightened in her chair. "Investigator, I can explain." "No explanation is needed," X-Thrick interrupted, surprising them all. "What fascinates me is not the deception, but its effectiveness. In the time since Earth's fleet emerged, violent incidents in your patrolled sectors have decreased by 87%. You have prevented 3 potential wars, ended 2 trade disputes, and inspired unprecedented technological cooperation. The crystalline being moved to the viewport, watching as the Light Seeker and its fellow research vessels continued their studies nearby. You have achieved what the Council's peacekeeping fleets, with all their actual weapons and power, often fail to accomplish." Rodriguez cleared his throat. "So, you're not angry about the deception?" X-Thrick's form rippled with what their translation matrix indicated was amusement. "Angry. Your species has transformed strategic deterrence into an art form. You have proved that the appearance of power, wielded with wisdom and restraint, can be more effective than power itself." The investigator turned back to the assembled humans. "Consider, when faced with a seemingly incomprehensible force, most species chose to adapt rather than challenge. You became the mysterious element that encouraged cooperation through uncertainty rather than fear." "That's a very generous interpretation," Sarah noted carefully. "It is an accurate one," X-Thrick countered. "I have reviewed every engagement Thunder's Roar has been involved in. Not once did you use your reputation to threaten or dominate. You positioned yourselves as guardians, not conquerors. When the Multi-Species Innovation Coalition formed to study your supposed technology, You encouraged their research while ensuring it developed safely. Emma shifted in her seat. About their research, some of what they're developing now is actually beyond our understanding. Precisely. X-Thrix's colors brightened. You inspired them to reach beyond known limitations. Your greatest deception was not in pretending to have advanced technology, but in making others believe they could achieve similar advances themselves. Sarah leaned forward. What happens now? Your report to the Council will emphasize Earth's unique contribution to galactic peace and scientific advancement. X-Thrix finished. Though I recommend maintaining the current strategic ambiguity. The mystery of Thunder's roar has become a stabilizing force in this sector. As if to emphasize the point, a brilliant flash of light erupted from one of the research vessels, apparently a successful test of their new crystal matrix energy system. There is an ancient saying among my people, X-Thrix continued, their form settling into a serene golden hue. The most powerful guardian is not the one who wields the strongest weapon, but the one who makes weapons unnecessary. The investigator moved toward the door, then paused. Though I do have one question. The karaoke machine is actually just for singing. Maya confirmed with a small smile. Fascinating. X-Thrix hummed. Perhaps that is your species' most remarkable technology, after all, finding joy in simply being together, even at the edge of known space. As the investigator departed, Sarah turned to her crew. Well, that was a successful diplomatic incident. Rodriguez suggested. A scientific validation. Emma added. A reminder that sometimes the best defense is a good light show. Maya offered. All of the above, Sarah concluded, watching as another research vessel arrived, its hull gleaming with innovations inspired by their creative deception, and maybe a lesson about the power of inspiration over intimidation. Speaking of inspiration, Emma said, pulling out her tablet, I have some ideas for our next upgrade. How do you feel about crystalline quantum harmonics? Will it actually do anything? Rodriguez asked. No, but it'll look amazing and probably inspire 3 new fields of physics. Sarah smiled. Their mission of peace through creative engineering would continue, now with the silent blessing of at least one council investigator. Make it so. The holographic display in Thunder's Roar's command center showed a spreading network of red markers, each representing another system going dark as the ancient defense grid awakened. Sarah watched with growing concern as X-Thrix explained the situation. They were created during the Crystal Wars, 50,000 years ago. The investigator's form pulsed with worried purple hues. Automated defense platforms, designed to protect against stellar energy weapons. Our ancestors forgot about them, but your recent demonstrations of apparent stellar manipulation woke them up. Emma finished, studying the technical data scrolling across her screen. And now, they think everyone's a threat. Correct, X-Thrix confirmed. They're following their original programming, neutralizing anything they perceive as capable of stellar manipulation, which, thanks to your influence on galactic development, is practically everyone, Rodriguez groaned. All those research vessels copying our crystal arrays. Sarah studied the tactical display. The ancient platforms were methodically shutting down power systems across multiple sectors, presumably to prevent their use as weapons. 3 research vessels had already gone dark, their crews safe but stranded. Can we shut them down? She asked. Unlikely. Strix's colors dimmed. They operate on quantum principles we barely understand. Direct confrontation would be inadvisable. Good thing direct confrontation isn't our style, Emma said thoughtfully, her fingers dancing across her console. Admiral, I have an idea. It's either brilliant or ridiculous. Those are our specialty, Sarah nodded. What are you thinking? These platforms were designed to counter stellar energy weapons. What if we convinced them we're not weapons, but their own kind? The way they process quantum information isn't too different from how our crystal arrays handle solar energy. Maya leaned forward. You want to talk to them? Better. Emma grinned. I want to sing to them. in their own language. The next hour was a flurry of activity as Emma and her engineering team reconfigured their crystal arrays. The research fleet, now gathered behind Thunder's roar for protection, watched in fascination as the human vessel's hull began to pulse with complex patterns of light. "Ready for attempt 1, Emma announced, broadcasting quantum harmonics through the crystal network. Now, the space around them lit up with interpenetrating waves of energy as their modified arrays reached out to the ancient platforms. For a moment, nothing happened. Then one of the platforms responded. "It's beautiful," X-Thrix whispered, their crystalline form resonating with the exchange. The quantum dialogue between ship and platform created patterns of light that rippled through space like aurora borealis. "What exactly are we saying to it?" Sarah asked, watching the display. "We're sharing our sensor logs," Emma explained, showing it how we've been using stellar energy for power generation and scientific research. The patterns we're creating mimic its own quantum processing language. "Engineering as interpretive dance," Rodriguez mused. "Now I've seen everything." The platform's response came in waves of coherent light, creating interference patterns with their own broadcasts. Emma's expression shifted from concentration to surprise to delight. "It's accepting our explanation," she reported. "More than that, it's fascinating by how we've evolved stellar energy technology in new directions. I think it wants to help." The ancient platform's quantum core pulsed, sending out waves of reconfiguration commands to its network. Across the sector, other platforms began powering down their weapon systems, shifting into what X-Thrix's databases identified as research mode. "They're not just standing down," Emma breathed, watching the data stream. "They're offering to share their quantum processing algorithms, the actual, real science behind what everyone thought we were already doing." Sarah watched as the platforms interfaced with the research fleet, beginning an exchange of scientific data that would advance galactic understanding of stellar energy manipulation by centuries. "So," Rodriguez summarized, "our fake super science was so convincing it woke up ancient super science, which we then convinced to join our research program through interpretive crystal array dancing." Never underestimate humanity's ability to turn a crisis into a scientific breakthrough, Sarah replied, watching the quantum light show with satisfaction. "Even if we have no idea what we're doing half the time, especially if we have no idea what we're doing," Maya corrected, "it makes our solutions too unpredictable to counter." X-Thrix's form shimmered with what could only be described as resigned amusement. "You do realize this will only enhance your reputation further." "Add it to the list," Sarah smiled. "Right after accidentally befriended ancient defense grid through improvised quantum choreography." The Galactic Council's Grand Chamber was silent as Admiral Chen finished her presentation. The holographic display above the chamber floor showed Thunder's roar surrounded by a dance of light. Ancient defense platforms, research vessels, and their own crystal arrays working in harmony to develop new technologies. "Let me understand correctly," the Council speaker's translator hummed. "Your fleet's fearsome reputation began as a creative solution to limited resources." "Yes, Speaker," Sarah confirmed. "We chose to focus on perception rather than firepower. The results exceeded our wildest expectations." From their crystalline podium, X-Thrix added, "The human approach has revolutionized our understanding of peacekeeping. Their methods have prevented conflicts, inspired innovation, and even helped us reclaim lost technologies from our past." The chamber erupted in discussions, thousands of species debating this revelation. Sarah stood calmly, Rodriguez and Emma at her sides, as the Council processed the implications of Earth's unusual approach to space presence. "Admiral," the speaker's voice cut through the chaos, "would you be willing to demonstrate one of your performances?" Sarah smiled. "Emma." The engineer's fingers danced across her portable console. Outside the Council's massive viewport, Thunder's roar began to shine. Crystal arrays rotated in perfect synchronization, creating patterns that reflected the chamber's light in mesmerizing ways. The ancient platforms joined in, adding quantum harmonics that transformed the display into a symphony of light and energy. "Beautiful," the speaker commented, "and entirely non-lethal." "That's the point," Sarah explained. "We discovered that mystery, properly presented, can be more effective than might. When species encountered something they didn't understand, they chose to study rather than attack." "And now," Emma added, "thanks to collaboration between our research fleet, the ancient platforms, and scientists from across the galaxy, we're turning our theatrical technologies into real innovations." The speaker's attention turned to the latest data streaming from the research projects. These advances in stellar energy manipulation, quantum communications, and zero-impact power generation, all inspired by trying to understand capabilities you didn't actually have. "Sometimes," Rodriguez offered, "the best way to achieve the impossible is to convince others it's already been done." A ripple of amusement passed through the chamber, the first time many humans had heard multiple alien species laugh simultaneously. "The Council has reached a decision," the speaker announced. "Earth's back-off fleet will be officially recognized as a special diplomatic and research division. Your methods, while unconventional, have proven remarkably effective at maintaining peace and advancing science." Sarah bowed slightly. "We're honored, Speaker." "Additionally," Strix added, their form glowing with bright, happy colors, "I propose we maintain the official ambiguity about Earth's capabilities. The mystery has become culturally significant." "Agreed," the speaker declared. "Let the legend continue to inspire." Later, back aboard Thunder's Roar, the crew gathered in the observation lounge. Through the viewport, they could see ships from dozens of species conducting joint research operations, their hulls gleaming with variations of Emma's crystal array designs. "So," Maya asked, sipping her coffee, "what's next for the galaxy's most mysterious fleet?" "Well," Emma grinned, "I have some ideas for our next upgrade." The ancient platforms suggested some fascinating possibilities for quantum entangled light shows, which will probably inspire 3 new fields of physics, Rodriguez chuckled. "And prevent 2 wars before lunch," Maya added. Sarah watched as a group of research vessels practiced their own versions of their crystal array configurations, creating beautiful patterns against the starfield. "You know what the best part is? Every time someone copies our designs, they actually improve them. We're learning as much from them as they think they're learning from us. A perpetual cycle of innovation driven by creative misunderstandings," Xthrix observed, having joined them for the journey home. "Perhaps that is humanity's greatest contribution to the galaxy, not the technologies themselves, but the inspiration to imagine what might be possible." "To the future," Sarah raised her cup in a toast. "May we continue to guard the peace with light shows, baffle scientists with karaoke, and turn misunderstandings into miracles." "Though maybe we should add some actual weapons," Rodriguez suggested. "Just tiny ones." "Absolutely not," Emma declared. "That would ruin our perfect record of solving problems through creative engineering and interpretive dance." As if in agreement, the ancient platforms surrounding the ship pulsed with quantum light, creating patterns that would probably spawn another dozen scientific papers about Thunder's Roar's mysterious capabilities. Sarah smiled. The future of human space presence would continue to be built on imagination, inspiration, and just a touch of theatrical flair. After all, why fight when you can fascinate? Why conquer when you can captivate? The legend of Earth's fearsome fleet would live on, not as a tale of power, but as a testament to humanity's most unique ability, turning make-believe into reality, one creative solution at a time.